What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dr. Professor Dark Joker here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are traditional fans with opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. One Piece chapter 1174. So in this chapter, so Sommers is concerned because the ship's destroyed, the sea clouds are gone. So he's like, "Crap! All those kids are gonna walk off the cliff to their death." But he's like, "Well, I mean, he tries to get Gunko to stop the kids, but Imu's controlling Gunko, so that's not an option right now." And so all the adult giants trying to stop the kids, and then Sommers is looking, and he's like, "Oh yeah, all those adults trying to stop the kids. They're not ill. They're just gonna helplessly watch the children plummet through this." Thing is like. Then he starts enjoying. He's like, "Well, that's interesting." And he's always thinking that if anyone's at fault, it's Emu for controlling Gunko's. I'm like, he better hope Emu can't read his thoughts, because if he just said he's blaming Emu for that, for destroying the sea cloud, for destroying the ship, if he's saying it's Emu's fault, that's not gonna go well. Like I was like, oh man, you're just asking to die at that point. And then he's thinking they can always march more kids later or something. And then he's like, talks on Aaron and say, "Hey, yeah, we were planning to take all the kids, but due to an accident, ship's lost, sea clouds are gone, so now you all be walk out to your deaths." So then all the adult, and then like Billingham's like, Gillingham's like, what is Somers doing? It took forever to do this. So all the adults are going to stop it, do the thorns and do the arrow stuff. So then when they're unable to stop them, they just hold their kids. So the parent and one of the kids who's biggest reason, he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm scaring you." And one he's like, "Well, sometimes the mothers have to be scary." And some of the kids are like, Are we being punished because we were bad kids? It's because we were naughty." And basically, because you have like some like basically it's like when they're bad kids, like the sun god's watching. And so they all start crying about when they were scolded. They're like, "Is this because we were bad?" And then all the adults are like, they just hug them. They're like, and so they're like, if basically they're like, if so like some of their like siblings, some of their parents, whatever, guardians, whatever. Basically, like if we can't stop the kids from dying, we'll just die with them. And so you see, like, and dude, it's a freaking sad scene. Like when you see like all the adults just fall off with their kids because they don't want the kids to die alone. And so you think they're all about to die. And yeah, one girl's thinking is like they're all lucky they have parents to hug them. But you just have a teacher like hug the little girl because I guess she's like an orphan or something. And dude, like it is like freaking like dude, like I will say like dude, when that gets animated, that is gonna get some reactions. And let's say Summers might become one of the most hated people on the internet. Yeah, and Summers is laughing. He's like, "Yeah, the deaths are pointless." But then all the giants they land safely. And then like yeah, so then they don't you see it's like something big, and then yeah, someone's saying like telling all giants once they get up there need them off the back because they'll if they're on it they'll stop them from fighting. And then you see another one say it's a good thing they were passing by so they were to catch them. And the person's like the giant beast is like it's not a good thing. He's like he's a destroyer. He's not gonna guarantee anything survives. And then you see it's start you see thunder and snow, and the world trees ripple, and like basically you see Elbaf shaking to some rhythm, and then you see Drool saying, "On an exceedingly rare day when lightning and snow combine, a vast beast will blanket the sky with its presence, and with the sound of the drums of liberation, the sun god will appear." So basically, it was Loki and Luffy who had saved the giants, and Loki could transform into a giant dragon. Yeah, like a big dragon, like big. Like, holy frick. Um, cause holy crap. And so one of these, so basically with Loki's Devil Fruits, possibly that like his Devil Fruits like involving Nidhogg, who's like a dragon from Norse mythology. Um, so in Norse mythology, he's said to Nidhogg is said to gnaw at the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree, and is possibly associated with the dead in Hel, Heim, and Niflheim. And like the appearance, and so so and like dude, like Loki's like as far as size goes from dragons, holy frick. Now, in a lot of drawings for Nidhogg, it looks like it's a supposed to be a like and there's various colors and adaptations where a lot of times he's like Nidhogg can be displayed as like a black dragon and so on and stuff. So who knows? And yeah, so it's definitely interesting. And it looks like that's the color they're going with for One Piece. Um, holy crap! That like is a dragon. Like that is big. Like I'm trying to figure out what size are we talking about. So basically, what I'm looking at is that for Loki, so for his dragon form, I've seen one thing based on, and basically for what I'm seeing, it looks like it's approximately around 3.2 kilometers in length. So that's Loki's dragon form. So for reference, that's about 2 times as big as Kaido's dragon form. So yeah, and for reference, in other fantasy like franchises, and Caligon the Black, the biggest dragon in Lord of the Rings, roughly around, and basically in yeah, so and and Calgon was pretty big, like thousands of feet long due to how big he was. He was so big he crushed the three volcanic peaks of Thangorodrim. So he was big, like big, and like yeah, so and like yeah, so and also Balerion, the Black Dread, and Song of Ice and Fire. Yeah, and so Now for some stuff with so there's various so for Ancalagon, some estimates say he like Ancalagon's like 64 meters long, 96-meter wingspan, and yeah, but who knows? Like it's a freaking big dragon, and like yeah, and so and you have Balerion. So Balerion will had like was a length of like like length compared to what we had, it's between 100 meters and 190 meters, give or take, and like so yeah, that's his lot. So Loki's bigger than Balerion, looks to be bigger than Ancalagon. Um, and let's say with Actologia from Fairy Tale. So Actologia is 20 is around probably 18 to 25 meters in length. Now, Actologia is extremely powerful dragon, can eat I've gone over my whole like Ancalagon versus and Actologia versus Balerion argument. I've gone over that about why Actologia would beat all three. Now, Loki, if we see Loki's fire, like how powerful he is in dragon form, now we can. Well, okay, I mean, Actologia probably would still win due to how he could eat magic and stuff, but Loki's a big freaking dragon. Like, holy frick! Like that could be a big dragon. Like that's a big freaking dragon. Like bigger than Balerion, bigger than Caligon, bigger than Actologia, bigger than Kaido. Oh man, dude. Holy frick. Like that's big. Like holy crap! Like I'm excited to see this dude as a fan of classic fantasy. Seeing that freaking dragon, it's like okay, let's see what happens. Because I will say, if the live action gets to Elbath, that's gonna be a lot of CGI money spent on that freaking dragon. Now I do not, no, I do not think live action will make it that far. That ain't happening because of how Netflix is at scheduling stuff, because they're so freaking retarded with their filming schedule. But anyway, yeah, I thought it was a really good chapter. Like, I don't have kids, so if I did, probably the scene involving the kids would hit a little more. But even without having kids, that scene hit. Like that hit so like I was like that is very well written. That when that gets animated, there's gonna be reactions to this chapter with the same with the kids, and then with the dragon, like holy crap, that is a big freaking dragon. Like I'm excited to see what happens with Loki. But yeah, I thought it was a really good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. The Elusive Samurai, chapter 238, and full series. So in this chapter, so you have Tokiyuki surviving, retainers. They like, they go into hiding, they raise kids, they go their separate ways to like, raise their kids, and, basically build a good life for themselves. And so the bloodline, the Hojo bloodline can flourish. So Japan will have a bunch of descendants because, it is believed that there's a lot, Tokiyuki had a lot of descendants in real life. They don't know how, how many, but some that claim there's many claimants to be part of the Hojo family, and so all the former Hojo fighters, they all have they all live in peace, they flourish, and you have Gemba and Natsu, they basically them and the ninja under them, they like protect the across the generations, protect the Hojo clan, and yeah, so so basically then. And you have, overview, basically it's like a tribute to Tokiyuki, how he lived his life, how he fought in the Naka Sendai War, his legacy on Japan. And yeah. And so and you have talk and yeah, so the I guess Gemba's group of ninja, you know basically I guess you had the Cosmo branch of the Suwa clan, they left Shinano and moved around. And it's basically believed that the ninja known as the Fuma Kodoro, who served the Hojo clan later on, was a descendant of was descended from them from that branch. So it's basically Gimba's descendants basically were certain as ninja. And yeah, so then it goes on to Tokiyuki, Kojiro, and Fubuki in Hell. And so a bunch of info dumps into their heads from different eras. And yeah, so then you see Yorishige arrive, so he's been dead for a while. He arrives riding a tank. Apparently he was around riding a jet ski, but now he's on a tank. And so basically, Yorishige says that yeah, basically almost everyone goes to hell because basically, even if you like step on a bug or like a microorganism or something, yeah, because if you take a life, regardless of what it is, basically the only apparently described the only creatures that go to heaven will go to paradise, basically heaven are non-carnivorous microorganisms. And basically, said like Yorishige says, after 4.6 billion years, the buildup in hell has turned what was a pure land into a swamp. And yeah, and yeah, so then basically, yeah, it's been 18 years since Yorishige died. And so, Togi asks if, Aki's there and the relatives from Kamakura. And, York says that they're probably somewhere, but it's hard to find them. And, tank blows up. And basically, you have, demons start attacking. And then, like, you have different alliances of humans. So, a bunch of historical figures, who fought wars, they still want some action. So, they fight the demons. And then they form alliances to fight each other. And so you have different, so you have, the Conquering Warlord Alliance, led by Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, and Attila the Hun. You have the geniuses with Migraines Federation. We have Cao Cao, Napoleon, and Oda Nobunaga. And you have you have the War Criminal Coalition, which is made up of Yuki Munehiro, Tamerlane, and Vlad the Impaler. The who their slogan is like their piled up skulls higher than Emperor Nintoku's tomb. and like it's so funny. Like man, so basically he's like, so Toki's like, man, people are dying in hell. You're so he's like, yeah, no one actually, no, it's hell. No one dies. He's like, as long as they don't have lingering attachment, as long as they have lingering attachments, they don't die in hell. Basically, bodies die, souls don't. So basically, they'll just respawn in hell. Because if you remember this, kind of like the South Park joke, it's like you die in hell. It's like, well, where else am I supposed to go? Detroit? So and basically they compose. Basically, what it describes that they compose their spirits, sever their attachments, and then their souls will disperse to form new souls in the next life. And so no one dies, and basically you're always being chased by demons, and you get caught in bout. And Toki gets excited because of all the fleeing he can do, and Kojiro Fubuki is like, okay, here we go. He's like, oh crap, here we go again. And Toki says he wants to find everyone. He asks Yorishige to come with them. And so basically, it looks like the four of them, they're gonna do their little fleeing and stuff, and like try to find everyone. And that's how it ends. So it ends basically they're gonna enjoy hell just fleeing from people and finding their lost relatives or lost friends, lost family, and that's how it ends. So yeah, I like this chapter. That was a funny way. So having Yorishige come back in hell, I was like, well done. That I was like, yeah, they were definitely gonna bring him back, I guess, in hell. Like I expected everyone to be brought back. I expected Aki to come back, Tokiyuki's, father and brothers. I also expected all of them to come back. But yeah, so a lot of they're still so they're in hell, but it's like they're being found like gonna be found. So we'll see how that goes. Well, we won't because unless they add like a little like extra thing in the volume format, like some manga have done, which like some done that, but I think it's kind of retarded to do that. Just release the full chapter. Anyway, anyway, but yeah, I thought it was a good chapter, good way to end the series. It's like okay, so basically so the Ashikaga won the war, but the Hojo clan seem to have had a happier life after the war. So that was a good chapter as far as the full series. The full series is great. It is great. It respects the history. It actually gets into history and like it does take advantage of the fact that there's a lot that we don't know about it due to like I mean there's various reasons we don't know about a lot of the history of that time period in Japan. So it allows it to fill in the blanks a little bit. That's one the advantages that historical fiction has. Like when you go that far back, is that there are a lot of blanks. Like there are blanks that need to be filled in because unfortunately record keeping was a lot different than it is now. You didn't have the internet, and when one army conquered another, they wiped out records because it was like and to add insult to injury, wipe out the people, wipe out the culture. Records, artifacts. I mean, that's just how it was. That's why there's a lot of stuff we don't know about from even way farther back in history. Yeah, overall, thought this series has been really good. You know, don't know if the author's got anything new coming up, but if he does and it's something I'd be interested, I'll read it. So yeah, I recommend reading this series. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next season of the anime. Kagurabachi Chapter 112. So in this chapter, so it's been 4 days since Zoga's like attack and stuff. So I guess people are trying to deal with the fallout. And so it was like Samura's like, subordinates, they couldn't figure out what was going on at Kaminami headquarters, so they just got a signal to Chihiro. And so basically they were keeping Iori safe. It looks like Iori's got a sword. And Chihiro arrives. And everyone's like, "Oh, you're okay." And Chihiro says that it's thanks to Samura he's okay. And they ask about Samura. And they're all shocked to know that he's dead. Chihiro says that he had the key to the battle and that's why they lost. And Samura sacrificed himself to save everyone. Iori sad and asked like everything they could do. And Chihiro says there's maybe something they can do. And he says that Samura used dark power, which is like a realm of the Chan Blades that even his father could like fathom. Basically, it sacrifices life in order to be used. It's the ultimate arcana of the enchanted blades. Now, the Megatami could constantly command that power, but the other blades, they have that potential. And so Sama used up his own life to use that power, and he turned to ash. And Chiro said that he died, but due to Toby Moon's dark power, he was revived. And he says that if Summer had just died, it'd be one thing, but since Summer turned to ash by Toby Moon's power, Chiro believes that if they could use that dark power again, then maybe Samura could return. And everyone's like, I don't know. And Chiro says that Samura never gave up on his life with Iori. So, and so like, well, if it's a life sacrifice of power, wouldn't a life have to be sacrificed for it to be used? Chiro says he used the dark power once, but he says that at the same time, but the Chan Blade sacrificed him to wield that power. And he says that maybe a way to bring back Samura is to destroy the Toby Moon. And so basically the way to do it, the first thing to do, I guess, to use the dark powers to break the Toby Moon. And he says that he knows how to break it. And it's explained so the Soga's goal is to destroy evildoers, but who knows how far reaching that term is in Soga's eyes. And so basically everyone who was involved stealing away the Chan Blades and those who were close to him, they're all in hiding. And everyone should stay low. And so Chiro took out the piece that the blade piece that Sommer left him. That he'll use that. Basically says he'll take this spark and make it bigger. And Chihiro looks like he returns like his father's you know like Chihiro like returns to his father's like house or whatever. And yet Soga looks like on somewhere briefly, and then Page shows like he said, remembering Chiro saying you're like Sommer saying you're cursed too, and he's thinking curse, and he says that Soga was saying that the only thing he got from the war was a lesson. So when Chiro returns to his house, he starts up the forge, and he remembers everything. He remembers everything from like the what all has happened throughout the series. And he starts preparing how to forge a new Inten. And he tells himself he'll surpass, his father. And then ends with saying part one has ended. So yeah, so instead of getting close to ending the series, it ends part one. So this series is in for the long haul. Looks like, which makes sense. It's been one of the more popular manga that Shueisha has had. I can understand why they wanted to last for a while. So they're gonna have Soga be a villain for a lot longer. So it's not like they're playing him the end, then they kill him. It's gonna be like, no, we're gonna have him be a long reaching villain. which is nice. You can have a lot. There's not a lot of really long series right now. A lot of them are in. I mean, Elusive Samurai just ended, and One Piece will end like in a few years. I mean, Chainsaw Man's probably close to it. Spy Family's probably close to ending. Sakamoto Days, Black Clover, a lot of like the major series are close to ending. I mean, Blue Exorcist probably is as well. I mean, that's a monthly thing. So I mean, I can understand why they want Kagurabachi to like go on longer. Because the way like it was going, it was like, okay, we might be close to end, but it's like no. Part one was like, okay, I'm curious if there was a conversation about, please let this last longer. I wonder if that there was a conversation had. Regardless, I'm interested in what part two has. So yeah, I thought this was a really good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, chapter 80. So in this chapter, Tosaka is still fighting Neko, and he's like beaten bad. Like yeah, he's trying not to give up. So he and he's trying to fight. So he and Cook are trying to like go after Neko. But Neko's just wrecking them. He's trying to kill Kiyoshi, and Tosca's trying to, he's telling everyone to get out of the way, get Kiyoshi out of there, and he'll protect. And basically, he's trying to like protect, you know, protect Kiyoshi. He's like, I'm not gonna fail again. And Tosca gets impaled by next time when he tries to take an attack, and like, it's a bad wound. Like it looks like it could be like mortal wound, and Hook's pissed, and he gets impaled again. And Tosca tells Cook that he's gonna leave the rest to him. And Cook's sad. Then there's like a big explosion of power, and Cook turns into a phoenix, heals Tosaka's wounds, and like yeah. So with his phoenix powers, he and Tosca are able to power up. Like Cook does an attack on Neko's arm, and the arm doesn't regenerate. And so Neko's like, please, oh, he's like tries to fake plea for mercy, but then it's like psych, and then like Tosca's like, yeah, I didn't fall for it. So he and Cook like do an attack, like they attack him, and they like are able to cut him. Looks like they cut like his like head off or something, like cut him in half or whatever. And like yeah, like they like looks like they beat him, like they beat Neko. And yeah, so looks like Neko's down for the count, if not dead. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Building up Tosaka, setting him up to have a big like victory. And, which was gonna happen. With all the stuff they did for him. In a previous arc with him, getting that promotion, and now defeating a demon lord. Like that's something. So yeah, I thought it was a really good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ichi the Witch, chapter 70. So in this chapter, uh, Ichi's like fighting a Kizashi, like that giant monster version, whatever. And basically, like his body like remembers like what movements how to move, like do like when Urura was controlling them. So there's like some muscle memory that's helping him, use his magic effectively. And yeah, so basically, so he's using his power to like fight Kizashi, and then he's wondering, well, basically his body's not holding up, and he's wondering which one should he use, and Jiki Shiron says the one who he wants to use the least. Um, and Jigsaw tells Gokuraku to take her and Mini, and Ichi apologizes, and he says he's going to use the one he wants to use the least. And then, so then like there's like a, so then the monster like feels like some form of bliss, being surrounded by like all these brothers, so the like all the Kiyoshi brothers are hanging out, and so then there becomes a whole thing about how taming a magic goes. Like once you acquire it, how they use it, like how they get around to figure out how to use it. And so basically, you see in his mind, Ichi's talking to Bakugami, who he addresses by his real name, Bakjam. So there's a whole argument. So and then and yeah, so and then like he gives like you know the like who the dream of all the brothers, all the Kiyoshi brothers. And he says he turns into the pan, watches brothers die. He says this is death, but he says that he won't make Pooh suffer. So he says it won't be a nightmare. And he says Pooh will pass in the thrall of one last dream. And he does an attack called Bakjam Backdraft. Destroys it. And you see in like Ichi sees something in the distance, and you see Chrono Weaver. Like looks like heavily weakened. Like yeah, it's he's probably Chrono's probably about to die. Like it looks like he's yeah, it looks like he's about to die. So yeah, so I mean, who knows? I mean, I think they're gonna do like a Dream of the Endless thing. That's what I think the kid's gonna become the next. Chrono Weaver, kind of like how I think it was Daniel, wasn't it? Became you know, the second Dream of the Endless, and in the Sandman comic, and yeah, so definitely gonna be interesting. So how they it looks like this arc is it looks like this arc is about to end. Like pretty soon. I don't know if Kiyoshi is still unacquired or if he's basically about to appear inside of Ichi. Like if he's gonna be within Ichi, so it's gonna be interesting. So I don't know like how long the last bit of attacks are. So yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that goes. So now you still have the stuff with Descaras, like that whole deal, like like that whole deal. So that's gonna be so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so I thought this was a pretty good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo Chapter 22. So, this chapter, Yuji and Maru try to figure out how to use Mahio to remove the cursed energy from the world. And yeah, so basically, first thing is they have to subdue Mahito, and well, let's just basically, so Yuji says he'll do it, you know, and basically he just wrecks him. Like, holy crap. Like, it's not even the question. Like, Mahito tries to fight, but Yuji just wrecks him. Like, effortlessly. And then, and so Yuji is concerned about Mahito messing with his friend's souls who have died. Mara says, yeah, there shouldn't be any worry about that. And, and so, yeah, so, but Mara says he probably shouldn't have enough curse energy to do that. And yeah, so basically they have the information they need. And so basically, so Maru needs some confirmation from Yuji about the cursed spirits. So Yuji explains that cursed spirits are formed from the accumulation of cursed energy that leaks out of humans, and that basically the whole phenomena occurs almost exclusively Japan. And so, like, in order for the world to not have cursed spirits in it, they need to eliminate cursed energy from the Japanese or turn Japanese sorcerers. Like, those would be two options. And the lot basically because with sorcerers, the curse energy circulates within the body, and using curse techniques would consume the energy, which would have cause very little leakage. But you know, there's concern about option two because all the damage caused by cursed spirits would just be done by curse users, and with and option one, they would potentially create people who are extremely like physically gifted, like Sarugi, and Maki, and that basically there could be conflict from those with that high level of strength. Yeah, but Yuji says that that whole issue would only occur with those born with very powerful curse energy. And so Maru says that then the ideal would be to eliminate curse energy from the Japanese and from the Sumerians. And Yuji Yeah, so and Yuji says, but curse spirits aren't born from Sumerians, right? And Maru says that is true, but if they only eliminate curse energy from Earth, from humans, there will be conflict that will come from that later, since it's not both. Yuji's like, oh right. So yeah, and tells Yuji he's doing all this for atonement, and he says he's wanting to make a world of peace. And Yuji says that what they're doing, it's basically going to it's basically going to cause problems because there's a lot of stuff for potential possibilities for the future that they're take away. Like, some there's research into using cursed energy as an energy source, and if they eliminate cursed energy, that will put a halt to to that research, especially if your resources run dry and like if cursed energy is the only option, if they take away, there's nothing. And also they'll be messing with people's bodies without their consent, and that that's there's some problems with that. And Maru asks what should they do, and like Yuji says, "Oh, he'll do it." He usually says, regardless of that, he'll do it. And Maru wonders if it's okay. Yuji's like, "No, it's not okay, but I'll do it anyway because he believes it's the right thing to do." And he says, he's going to live probably for another 300 years or so, and he wants to do everything he can while he's on Earth, and he'll deal with any punishment that comes his way. And he wonders if he still won't age despite, without, his curse energy. And he says, and Mars says they won't interfere with the souls of current Jujutsu sorcerers and Simmerans. And Mars says he wants to limit it to non-sorcerers and people who will, and non-sorcerers and people who will be born in the future. Since there'll be people whose lives are forever like changed because of it, and then they'll deal with the cursed spirits. And he's like, yeah, and Yuji's like, and then Yuji says that even if he eliminates cursed energy from Japanese cursed spirits, will probably still be born. And Mario's like, what? So yeah, it's like next week there's going to be some explanation as to why it happens, why that's the case, and there's the whole deal because you have corpses. So that's probably something because you have corpses that are not exercised right. They can have curse energy that can lead to some issues. So yeah, I like this chapter. I like how so this is a Yuji focused chapter. So we're seeing how Yuji and Maru try to bring peace like very forcibly. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I thought this was a pretty good chapter. We're looking forward to the next one. Gonron Egg Chapter 15. So in this chapter, so in the 3 years since Gonron and Oma started their training, the Human Liberation Army has like doubled the amount of villages they've you know hidden villages that have been made, and due to all the people they've rescued and stuff and recruited to the Liberation Army. And even more Drakarks have joined the Human Liberation Army. And so yeah. And then basically then they have to deal with, the main army led by Reigoku. That's like basically killing a lot of people. So they have to prepare for the final battle against like the Drakarks. And so everyone prepares, like, all the preparations are done. You have some last minute conversation with everyone, between all the members of the Liberation Army. And it's, if definitely you could tell it's like, one last, basically one last day to relax for a big value. Like, how it is. My criticism is that, okay, most of these characters have not really been shown much, so we don't see a lot of them. And if like this was a longer series, I think we would have gotten more of these characters before leading up to this fight. Like more to like so okay. Like we probably well, I would say we probably would have seen a lot of fights during that 3 year time span. Like seen more stuff leading up to it. But since it's probably a series that's about to end pretty soon, that's why they skipped 3 years. So yeah. So then and basically it seems that like also Oma has gotten heavier over the years, so it's like sounds like he's growing. And so yeah, so Reikoku is at the Bloodied Valley. He believes that the humans are about to attack there, so it's like he's ready to like basically everyone's ready to fight. And it looks like the humans like so you have the humans are starting to fight. So you have Kagami, Oma, and Gonron attacking, and then looks like the battle's about to start. Like the whole like it's about to end pretty soon. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. I think like if we had gotten more of the Human Liberation Army before this, a lot of the stuff we see in this chapter would have been like it would have had more of an impact. But since obviously they're trying to get towards the end, there's a lot of stuff that was obviously they probably want that was probably the author probably wanted to show but couldn't. But regardless, I thought it was a decent chapter. Looking forward to the next one. The Mage Next Door, chapter 14. So in this chapter, so Yobiko and Osagawa have captured Idokura and Hidakata, and basically they're trying to get intel from them. So basically, so Kiyotaka says that they were sent from Doroi, and that basically there's like a treasure gem hidden in the school, and so they were sent to find it. And that basically Idokura says that he doesn't really want to risk his life for it, and he basically hates, and basically so both of them like hate the adults in Deroy. Basically, they're just there on orders, not because they actually care. And so basically, Deroy has some grudge against humans for the Great War, and so basically like Osagawa was like they're saying Deroy's saying kids there to fight for him, and another guy named Hidaka comes in saying that it's not force, that's the duty of every Deroy mage. And then so Hidaka was basically one of the kids Osaka played baseball with at PE. And so it's revealed that Hidaka's a mage. And he says that, Deroy rule number 4 is carry out your mission, even if it costs you your life. And like he like Hidaka says yeah, like and he goes like talking with Osagawa, and like he prepares his match. He says that he's the captain of the Deroy's operations units, Noboru Hidaka, and he says, "Don't worry about him." Because he tells Osagawa to fight him like he's actually trying to kill him. Minnie Magus asks Yobika if she can fight. Yobika says she doesn't have much magic left, and Hidaka obviously has more magic than her. And Osagawa tells Yobiko to leave it to him. And so then Osagawa like he starts getting and he's shown to have even more magic power than Hidaka. And yeah, and Yobiko's like, I didn't know you had this much power. Osagawa says like he's like, well, not really. It's like basically he did some yoga and helped deal with that, and do all the magic he's had to use during his missions. It helped him get over some of his rustiness. So then Osagawa and Hidaka start fighting, using all their magic on each other. And Osagawa asks Hidaka does Deroy what does Deroy hope to do by sending kids there. Hidaka says that's for the adult society, that he doesn't care. Yeah. So yeah, everyone else is watching the fight, and so yeah, and then Osagawa grabs a bat like he's about to play baseball, And like Osaka says that Hideka seemed like he was having fun in PE. Hideka says like that was just part of the mission. And so it was like Osaka was trying to use the bat like the basically was like a baseball thing. And it looks like we'll see the next stage of the fight next week. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Like the visuals for the fights with Osaka and Hideka were awesome. You see all the destruction. Yeah, that's gonna cause some problems. Yeah, if Osaka just doesn't use magic to repair it, then well, there's gonna be a problem. But yeah, we'll see like what happens. Those are I'm assuming those three will be sent back to the magic world, and probably some big plot points about to happen. But yeah, we'll see what happens. What's the deal with Deroy? What's this treasure gem? I'm interested in all that. So yeah, I like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kunon the Sorcerer can see episode 8. So in this episode, Iko and Kunon they go towards Kunon's grandfather's mansion, where Iko plans to leave before she becomes too old to get married and have kids. Um, you know, and Kunon's surprised when he sees his grandfather because due to how his eyes work. So his mother has mismatched eyes of a heroine, but his grandfather has like a demon lord's horns. So Iko's younger sister Rinko is waiting to become his new maid, and basically, she has a demon's horn, kind of like Iko. And so Iko tries to tell Rinko of how to handle Kunon, like don't let you know him get seduced by women due to like, and Rinko's believes Kunon could have a future as a womanizer due to how like polite he is to women. And Iko's like, no, do not let it happen. So Kunon and Inko have, they say goodbye, and Kunon goes with Rinko, and then they arrive at Durashik City a month later, and where the academy's at. And so, yeah, and so they try to do some shopping, and yeah, so a bookstore. The owner mentions that the Saint of the Holy Kingdom is enrolling as a first year, along with the Inferno Prince, the Lightning Bolt, and New Kingdom are attending as second years. So when Kunon goes to a clothing store, he's checking, and he creates a dark fox from water based on how a fox fur scarf feels. And so the owner like asks if you can make anything. He asks if he can make a woman, and Rico's like no. And she like calls like she's like you will not. She's like looks at that shop owner like badly. She's like do not put those thoughts in a boy's mind. And Kuno says he can't, and he probably wouldn't because he would get yelled. Like humans are too complicated to form by doing it, and he probably wouldn't because he would get yelled at. And so I mean, yeah, he can maybe make a shape, but there's only he can't necessarily make an exact human. Then the saint and like visits the shop and sees the fox. Someone touches the fox and basically it bursts and splashes on towards the set, and the shop owner make it look like he pissed himself. Which that's all funny scene. So they're all all her friends. They're just looking at the water, like looking at where the shop owner's dick is at. Basically, they're like looking at his and like where it looks like he pee himself, and they're observing is like how the magic works. And now when Kuna and Rinko get there to the academy, they learn that the dorm is full, and so they get some info about realtors, and so Kuna and Rinko rent a house, and so yeah, so then there's a group that's trying to look at observe the first years they're coming in, especially with Kunon being Zeon Lee's apprentice, so that should be interesting. So yeah, I like this episode. Like how they're starting to introduce more of like the other students. We'll see this how this other school goes. Obviously, Eco leaving, that was kind of surprising, but then Rinko coming in, similar personality. They both are there. They both basically got the job for the money, and they both want to get married. Like, yeah, Inko saying she's concerned about getting too old. I'm like, how old is Inko? Like, how old is she? I mean, Rinko says that she's 18. Like, like Iko, we don't know. I don't know. Like, she's older, so I don't know how much older. And there's a whole bit where Inko jokingly says, she's like, she says, "Will Kunon like just propose to her or something?" Which no, that's not gonna happen. If Kunon was gonna have like a harem or something, yeah, Iko would be part of the harem. Yes, probably. But I don't think that it's gonna go the harem route. No, I think he's too much. I actually think Kunon's too much of a gentleman to do that. No, he's gonna stay faithful to Mirika. And yeah, so I thought like this was yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Interested in seeing more about the school. You don't like this episode? Looking for the next one. Ayachan is in Scary, episode 6. So in this one, Kaya's class is asked to draw stuff, whatever they remember from the field trip. So Kaya draws, the ghosts and stuff, and teacher's like, "Hey, don't draw made up stuff." And she is like, "Oh yeah, that's the tree we saw. Look at the ghost, right, Kaya?" And it was like, "Oh, really? Okay." And yeah, and so Kaya's happy that Chi Sensei like defended her, and so then Kaya's at the mall with her father. Um, Mobulo's like just stalking Kaya, like like Mobulo's freaking weird. Like he's there to like protect Kaya. I'm like, okay, what protection can he actually give Kaya? Literally, what protection? Kaya can beat up Ghost. If unless Mobulo can sit on Ghost with how fat he is, I don't think he's gonna do much as far as protection is concerned. Now, yes, Kaya's still, like a 5-year old. She's gonna have like, she's still gonna do 5-year old things. And Kaya gets lost. She gets separated from her father. So Mobulo tries to like help her find her father, but then like there's some ghosts around, like possessing mannequins or something. Kaya beats up the ghost, and like Mobulo takes her to like the child assistant whatever, and her she hears that her mother's arrived, and she runs out, and then she hears her mother's voice, and she looks, and she sucked her voice, and the lady pulls off the wig, says she's not her mother, that she's actually her aunt Nana. Like so, she basically Nana's been wanting to meet Kaya from basically, I guess, from what the grandma, like, guess from what the grandmother told her. Then Kaya's father arrives, picks up the picks up Kaya, asks like who she is, what she. Nana introduces herself as basically Mirai's sister. So Mirai is Kaya's mother, and Nana asks if Mirai is mentioned, talked a lot about the family. Kaya's father's like says no, she never really wanted to talk about it. And Nana asks for Kaya's father to not tell Mirai about the meeting, and that and Kaya's father says to tell for ask Nana to tell like her family that like that Mirai's doing good, they don't need to worry. So Nana is wondering why, is saying okay, everything seems fine with Kaya. And then like she goes to see the grandma, and the grandmother's saying, "Yo, Mirai's dead. Mirai's dead when she gives birth to it." And Anna's like, "No, Mirai's not dead." Seems like the grandmother senses something. Because obviously you have whatever's inside Kaya, and then you have where the specter that you know Kaya's mother's pregnant with, and yeah, so something's up. So then later you have this one kid breaks something, sent to the punishment room after breaking a bunch of stuff due to throwing shoes around. And basically, it's so funny. You have Kaya's friend Saku says there's like a ghost in the punishment room. So Kaya's like, "Where's the ghost?" So she and Saku go they find this other room. It's dark. Saku's afraid of the dark, and but there's a ghost in there that can only be seen there. So Kaya keeps cutting on and off the lights in order to see the ghost. She beats up the ghost, but she's wondering why Saki was crying. So Chi Sensei gets in there. Notices she's like has like Kai and Saku go with her, and she gets them both to calm down. And Kai explains what's going on, and she says she beat up the ghost, and she's like, okay, why is Saku still crying? And Kai explains that she realizes that Saku was afraid of the dark, and she tells Chi that she's not afraid of the dark, so she didn't think about that, and I apologize to Saku for for Saku being scared, and basically they all make up. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode, dude. What the heck happened with the grandmother? Holy crap! Like, like, what the heck? Like, there's obviously something with going on with Kaya. Like, I mean, like all the stuff. Ooh, like it's gonna be interesting. See what happens. So yeah, and there's a whole bit. One thing with Bobo is that he's called on the he talks on the phone with the partner of his who I guess knows about Kaya, and he tells Bobo to not get involved with the Kaya's house without him. So it seems like whoever this guy is knows about Kaya, probably knows about what's going on with with her family, the Ebisumori clan. So we'll see what happens. So yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Hell's Paradise season 2, episode 6. So in this episode, Gabimaru his group fight the Tensen, and basically they want to avoid that, but they don't have a choice. But it's like screw it, we come this far, we can't give up now. So you had the fight. So you have Gabimaru and Yuriza fighting Ran, and it's a cool freaking fight. You see how they basically work together to use their attacks, and you see how the different Tau powers work against each other. And so yeah, that's gonna be awesome. But yeah, we'll see how these goes, and yeah. Obviously, Gabimaru got hit pretty bad, so we'll see how he can recover even with. So yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, so I thought it was a good episode. Liked how they I liked it, like how the fighting works, the combat. So yeah, I thought this was a good episode. Looking for the next one. Under Doctor Chapter 4. So in this chapter, yeah, so you see IG fight, all the mobsters. Like, yeah, so like basically he's just like he is like wrecking wrecking them. So all Khan's troops are just basically Haiji's is dealing with them. Chiwa's she pulls her weapons out and she's shooting bullets into the ground, but they're made of some material that allows them to ricochet, and she aims like it well to where however they ricochet allows them to hit the targets and knock them out. So like a pretty impressive trick shots, and so yeah, and basically Haiji tells Khan that like, hey, if you find the tells Khan to let his daughter go, and he says, if you find a proper donor, I'll do the surgery. And Khan's thinking that he doesn't have time for that, and then someone's here, and then like some assassin with a mask appears, and Khan tells the guy to kill to kill Haiji and Chiwa. And it looks like the assassin can only speak in sign language. And then yeah. So then, Lei appears again, he asked, Kong if he could kill Haiji, and Kong says that, hey, Lei's a mass murderer, killed like a bunch of people, you know, murdered 35 officers in a police station with the kitchen knife, and that he's now known as the Thousand Killer. And yeah, so basically, so Lee tries to attack Haiji, but Haiji dodges his attacks and knocks him out. And then like the newbie, whatever the character's name actually name is, but Kong just calls him newbie. Haiji speaks in sign language and asks for the newbie to let Chiwa go, and the newbie lets her go, and the newbie asks why is he able to do sign language. Haiji signs that it's because he's a doctor. So it's like there's gonna be some conversation. So whoever this character is, like we don't know the name, it's just called character's just called newbie. Who knows who it is. So this should be interesting. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. I liked how Haiji just was wrecking all these mobsters. Chiwa's attacks were cool. And so yeah, I thought this was a really good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kinato's Magic Chapter 3. So in this one, Kinato, Line, and Jian arrive at Asan, which is the capital of the Rahuna Kingdom. And so they find the guild hall, and like you see like the door, but then the whole thing collapses. Real to be a fake wall. It's like a decoy wall in order to like draw in customers. And so Liane says, well, she'll have to be the facade since she'll be the poster girl. And she has a very vain way of thinking. And so then Jian's like randomly attacked by someone asking where the heck were you? And the guy introduces himself as Olgin, that he works the front desk. And so Jian introduces Kinato and Line, that they're new recruits to the Iron Fangs. And so the later it's explained that Olgin and Jian explained that yeah they always fight like that, like they're childhood friends, so like they know each other a while, and that's just how they are. And basically, the guild's pretty small, so there's a lot, I guess, bigger guilds that get a bunch of the requests. So it seems like they don't have a lot of requests that come in. Yeah. and then a character named Kaminagi appears, notices that Kinato is colorless. Basically, she doesn't want a colorless adventure in the guild because that will potentially like damage the credibility of the Iron Fangs. And as she wants to knock some sense into Kinato, she jumps down and starts preparing to attack Kinato. But then she sees Line, and then goes over to Line, like gets on her knees and calls Line princess and asks if she could be like Line's knight. And Kino's like, "What's going on?" She explains that basically Kaminabi's is a big fan of a book called Knight's Chronicle, based on the story of a knight and the princess who traveled the world to fight the Demon King in order to break a curse. And Kaminari gets a little too into it sometimes, and basically when Kaminari sees a girl that is like her type, she can't tell. She basically can't separate fantasy from reality, and so she starts acting like she's the knight in the story, and that with Line being the princess, I guess. And Line's like, oh, says that Your Highness is totally fine. And Line's like, which is totally in line with Line's character from what we've seen. And so Jian says, hey, it's standard procedure. We got to assign mentor to the recruits. So Olgin's going to mentor Line to teach her how to, run the front desk. And then Kaminagi's going to be, Kinato's mentor. Jian tells Kinato to show, like, Kaminagi like his strong feelings about being an adventurer, and like yeah, and so Kaminagi says like she doesn't want to have a colorless um work with her, and so Jian says that he'll let Kaminagi decide what how Kinato's fate. That basically if after the mission if she thinks that Kinato has no talent, then you know it they can kick him out if that's what she decides. And then yeah, so then they go on the quest. They head towards Evkiv, and Kaminami says that the way for Kanto to prove his abilities is to kill more monsters than she does. And Kanto uses his massage ball to defeat a bunch of slimes or whatever. And Kanto uses, and he says that he has Sete magic. So he asks Kong to for her to teach him everything she knows. And I guess Kong didn't know that Kanto did Sete magic. So that's gonna be interesting how she reacts to that. Because the way his magic works, that could explain why he's colorless. Because it's not very combat oriented. It is very healer based. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Liked how they introduced the Iron Fangs. See how this, you know, how this series, continues on. So yeah, I like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Alien Headbutt Chapter 2. So in this chapter, Shirokiba wakes up. He's inside some store and he's wondering how he's able to like stand. Basically, he thinks that like whatever parasite thing pinch like stabbed him is like probably inside of him, and so there's like like apparently some kid had like dragged him into the into the store with the like with the hand cart. And, Shirokiwa thanks him like thanks the kid for saving him, and the kid introduced himself as Haruha. And then basically he's 9 years old. He'll be 10 later in the year. And so Haruka is a fan of Shirokiba. And so Shirokiba asks Haruka to explain everything that happened. So basically 3 months ago, Haruka explains that 3 months ago, he was walking he was late to school because he'd forgotten something. And some stuff fell from the sky. And that when he got to town, the aliens hatched from egg-like things and invaded the island. And all communications were shut off. And he went to the port to get help, but one shuttle boat left, and the captain, it seemed like, had turned to a robot. And when the captain had noticed Harua, he let out a weird noise, and the aliens started running towards his direction. And Shirokiba asked if everyone died. Haruka says a lot of people were killed, but some people were killed, but most were just carried away somewhere. Shirokiba asked where were they taken because he's trying to find his family. And then Shirokuba decides he says he's gonna go find him. Haru's like basically says that Shirokuba can't beat him, but Shirokuba says he can. So then 3 aliens arrive. So Shirokuba fights him using his wrestling moves on them, and he seems to be stronger due to whatever parasites inside of him. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. So after he beats all of them, and then Haruha says, maybe Shirokuba could save his brother. And then Haruha says he knows where one place where some islanders were taken, and that the people who were there are still alive. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. So it looks like it's probably where Haruha's brother's at. Probably. I don't know about Shirokiba's family. Probably not. That'd be probably more down the line. But yeah, I like this chapter. So we got an explanation for what happened during the invasion. Now, we may not know what the aliens' motivations were, but we know when it started, when the invasion started, what else happened, why no one's around. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Unfamiliar. So this is a German show on Netflix. So you have four spies, Merritt and Simon. Basically, there's a whole deal where 16 years ago in Belarus, um, Simon had basically, so Nina, who's like Merritt and Simon's daughter, basically they adopted her. So Nina was the biological child of Katya Volkova and Joseph Kolev, and that basically Kolev had believed that Katya and Nina were dead, and yeah, so Simon had rescued Nina and told Katya that Nina was dead, and then lied to Merritt that Katya was dead. So that they could his idea was so that they could raise Nina. And basically there's a whole deal pieces start falling. Yeah, Nina learns about also the spy stuff. A lot of different spies start trying to kill each other. And so Simon had a brain aneurysm. He's able to survive. And due to how the stress of the spy world, Simon and Merritt, they divorce. And they're arrested by D&D for murder of a guy named Jonas, who Joseph had killed, and after Katya had betrayed him. It's a, and so and then so there's a whole deal with Kolev. So Kolev, who was trying to go after all of them, basically yeah. So he's considered a liability. It's not known what happened to him, so he's like a liability for his wife's father. So And so we don't know if he got shot or whatever. And so Katya drives away with Nina, and Nina doesn't know that Katya's her biological mother. And so there's a whole deal about a B&D mole that people try to find called Starfish. And it's revealed to be Ben Kruger. And, basically he had framed agent named Alice Belmont for his crimes. And he murdered her and staged his suicide to, cover his tracks. So you see all these portrayals going on. And yeah, so you see a lot of, so it definitely ends on a cliffhanger to where, if I guess if there's season two, they're gonna deal with the cliffhanger. Who knows what's gonna happen? I don't know. To my knowledge, it hasn't been renewed for season like two. We probably won't know for a while. But as far as the quality, I thought it was a decent series. The twists were good. Interesting, how they developed all of it. Obviously, with it being a spy three, you have a lot of betrayals and stuff. And I thought those were handled well. So yeah, I thought it was a decent show. Recommend watching it. Well, that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.